class is called This Is Not Rocket Science. That's what it is. The truth, it ain't something that's hard to understand, especially for those who are in the know, who are Israelites. It's not a hard thing to understand. The Most High spells it out in the scriptures, what we are to do, who we are, where we're going. We all know this. He talks about where we've been as well. So the marker is his son. His name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahawah. All right, that's the ancient Hebrew. In the new Hebrew, they probably call him Yahshua. It's probably similar to Yeshua. All right, but in the Lashon Kadash, we say Yahawah, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. We're going to go into the scriptures today, so make sure you have your KJV Bible. Make sure you have your Apocrypha. We're going to go through these two books today. All right, and this is to strengthen you as well as myself. Today, again, the class is called This Is Not Rocket Science. Esau makes it rocket science. So let's go to Colossians chapter 3, verse 17. Colossians chapter 3, verse 17. And whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all by Shem HaMashiach Yahushua, giving thanks to the Heavenly Father Yahawah by him. All praises to the Most High Yahawah by Shem HaMashiach Yahushua. The Most High wants us to speak everything in word and deed. Okay, that's a preliminary way of getting to the Father. All right. 2 Timothy chapter 1. Let's go there. 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 6. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 6. It reads, Wherefore I put thee in remembrance that thou stir up the gift of the Most High, which is in thee by the putting on of my hands. For the Most High hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, and of love, and of a sound mind. So we shouldn't have a spirit of fear in anything while we're here on this earth. The spirit of the Most High is honest, especially in these last days, but we have to believe in the Most High. So we don't have the spirit of fear on us regarding any enemy of ours. So we're gonna retouch this. We're gonna come back later on as we go over the scriptures. Matthew chapter 10, verse 19. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak. Semicolon. For it shall be given you in that same hour what you shall speak. So don't worry about what you have to say or what you will do. You know, the Most High deals with his people. You know, the Most High uses his people, and he'll put the Spirit on us to speak what he wants us to speak, just like us being in the truth. We ain't coming in the truth on our own accord. The Most High had already called for us. We were already nominated to be in the truth. He called us in. And the same way he called us in is the same way we speak for him. We're representatives of him. So when we speak, it's not our words that we're speaking. Normally, it's the Most High's words. You know, a lot of us, when we were in the Christian churches or in whatever faith we were, a lot of us were afraid of ministering on the streets or even encountering someone regarding the scriptures, you know, because we didn't think we could pull verses out fast enough. That was kind of like a amazement to pull a verse out here and there to prove your point. Most people can't do that in the churches. All right, the pastor could barely do it. You know, he even gets a little nervous when he's being encountered, when someone's questioning him. When you're in the truth, the Most High has already called you into the truth. He saw something in you, or you're a regeneration of another prophet that was in the past, or a person in the past, or you're from the line of that regal path, that regal brotherhood, okay, of the Israelites. So he puts those words in your mouth, okay? We have to understand the Most High continually uses his people. Let's go to verse 20. Matthew chapter 10, verse 20. For it is not ye that speak. See that? You're not speaking. You may think that you're speaking, the verses that you're pulling, but it's the Most High speaking. But the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. So the Most High is going to speak through us. Okay? And this is what scares Esau today. You may not think that you're being of fear by Esau. Esau is afraid of you. This is what Esau's been trying to do all this time, is keep the truth bundled under so nobody can find out what the truth is. But with the truth, I guarantee you everything that's been coming out from the truth has been coming out of other people's mouths and other people's ears just because they heard it from the Most High's people who are awake. All right? They may not be awake still, but there was something that you said that triggered them to continually talk about it, like us being in slavery, like us being a chosen people. Everybody says, oh, they're chosen people, but they don't know the significance of the chosen people. We are the people of the book. We're the people of the Bible. Okay? From Judah all the way down to Issachar. There's 12 tribes that were scattered all over the earth. And you really have to check the lineage by the fathers. Just because you see a complexion, it ain't always that complexion that you think that the Israelites are. But we always like to tell you, from the root, the Israelites stem from people of color. And over a period of time, through mixing, they started to degrade. And so you have to really be sophisticated enough to read the spirits. Read the spirits and know the spirits. A lot of people can't do that. A lot of people can't discern, but you really got to be able to read the spirits and know the spirits of the Most High's people. You have to test the spirits because look at where the Most High woke you up at. Where were you when you woke up? What city were you in? Were you in the city that you grew up in? And are you still living in that city? Did you move to another city, either for employment or for college or for whatever it may be? Did you move to another city? You have to look at the spirit because your spirit is where he put your spirit. All right, we're here in the U.S., but in the U.S. you have pockets. Your spirit was made for that area where you were. Some places are more diverse than others. Some places are not diverse at all. For example, New York is very diverse. You got all different nationalities of people. California is very diverse. You got all different types of nationality of people. In New York, you got more Puerto Ricans, more Haitians than you do in California. California, you got more Mexicans in California, more Hawaiians, more Samoans, more Venezuelans. Most of the South American people that are not from the islands are in the West Coast. Whereas on the East Coast, you have a lot of people from the islands, from the Jamaican, from the Caribbean islands, on the East Coast, in Florida, in South Carolina, North Carolina, New York, Connecticut, all the way up. And then Illinois is a splash of people. So you got different spirits that wake up to the truth, and you're made for those areas. You got to understand what I'm trying to say here. The Most High woke us up for a reason. When you look at the scriptures, you go to Jeremiah. What is that? Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 14. Let's go there real quick. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 14. It reads, "Turn, O backsliding children, saith the Most High, for I am married unto you." So the Most High is married unto his elect. "And I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion." So the Most High selected you in your city, in your captivity, in your state of mind, wherever you are. The Most High selected you. Now you may move from one city to another, speak the truth, and you have to approach people in a whole different like manner than what you were dealing with people in a more splash environment. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say to you. There's different spirits for different regions, but the elect have the spirit to deal with all. Understand where I'm coming from. For example, my daughter was like, "Dad, you should move to Las Vegas." Now, I'm a man of the Most High. Why would I move to Sin City? Because that's what it's known for. It's called Sin City or lost wages. I'm not saying I can't do it. I could do it, But coming from the area where I come from, I'd probably be hurting people's feelings and not even knowing I'm hurting their feelings. I'd be like, what I do? What I do? What I do? Because shifting from first to third gear, I'm not carrying no weight with me. I'm just going to say what I have to say. And that could be rugged to a lot of people. Now, you got spirits in Las Vegas that grew up in that region. They are reared to teach the truth in that region. Just like if you have some brothers in Colombia, they're reared in that area to teach the truth. We can only give the truth where we go to when we travel and we visit. Like when I went to Colombia, I was waking up brothers in Colombia because I can speak a form of Spanish. And they understood me. This word is going to come across one way or another when the elect is pushing it. Okay? I hope that I'm of the elect. You have to check the spirits. I might be going off topic. Let me adjust this mic. Yeah, I remember there was a brother called me. He said, man, I was minding my own business. I came into the room at home, and my wife had just got off work. And I'm walking through, I'm just passing through the living room, and she's in there watching some TV program where two women were getting it on. And when I walked in, she fast-forwarded the TV station. That's that low-hanging fruit, which is a form of deception. But that's how Satan got into the mind. Just that easy. And women have a tendency to be curious, just like Eve was curious. All these movies now have some form of homosexuality, transgendership. All you got to do is watch Netflix and you'll see it. Now, the Most High tells us that we're supposed to be upright, okay? But when you look at the scriptures, Eve has a tendency to always go off. How is Eve upright? She's only going to be upright by the man that she's with. If she's with the upright man, then she'll be upright. Now, you sisters who don't have a man, and you're part of a school or organization, listen to the elders to be in an upright fashion. But you have to understand that the women need that type of man in their life. They need leadership, right? They need honest leadership, so someone who's not going to take advantage of them. And Eve went off in the beginning. You think she was eating an apple? Eve went off in the beginning because she ate the fruit. And when you talk to the average people of today, you're like, what kind of fruit was it? They'll say an apple. There's nowhere in the scriptures where it says that Eve ate an apple. Let's go there real quick so we can make clarity of the scriptures. Genesis chapter 3. Let's go to verse 1. And it reads in Genesis chapter 3, verse 1, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Most High Yahawah had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, hath the Most High said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Most High have said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. Now, it never says there's an apple or orange or avocado. It never says any of that. It just says the fruit of the tree. Trees represent men. All right? Now you have to understand, what does fruit mean? What is the breakdown for fruit in the scriptures? Let's go to the Apocrypha. And let's go to 2 Ezra chapter 9. 2 Ezra chapter 9. And let's go to verse 19 first. I'll start at 18. And now, when I prepared the world, which was not made even for them to dwell in, that now live, no man spoke against me. For then everyone obeyed. But now the manners of them which are created in this world that is made are corrupted by a perpetual seed, and by a law which is unsearchable rid themselves. So he's talking about a perpetual seed that's corrupted. So Eve was corrupted, was she not? She was corrupted when she ate the fruit. But what did she receive? She received corruptible communication. Let's drop down to verse 31. 2 Ezra chapter 9, verse 31. And it reads, For, behold, I sow my law in you. So what did he sow in Adam? The breath of life, which is the law. For behold, I sow my law in you. How do you know that? When you go to Ezekiel chapter 37. Let's go there real quick. Ezekiel chapter 37. Ezekiel 37, verse 10. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood upon their feet, an exceeding great army. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried, and our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts. Therefore prophesy and say unto them, Thus saith the Most High Yahawah, Behold, O my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel. Now, how are we going to get into the land of Israel? By keeping the Most High's laws. So it's the breath of life. The law is the breath of life. Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. And it reads, And the Most High Yahawah formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So the law is the breath of life. That's what he breathed on us, the breath of life, which is the law. Let's go back to 2 Ezra chapter 9, verse 31. For behold, I sow my law in you, and it shall bring fruit in you. See that? That's the fruit that Eve should have stuck with. She gave up the fruit. That fruit became unsearchable to her through corruptible communication. For behold, I sow my law in you, and it shall bring fruit in you, and ye shall be honored in it forever. But our fathers, which received the law, kept it not, and observed not thy ordinances. And though the fruit of thy law did not perish, neither could it, for it was thine. Yet they that received it perished, because they kept not the thing that was sown in them. Eve kept not the thing that was sown in her. And that's why Eve fell, because she kept it not. So this is the fruit that Eve did. It was a corruptible doctrine that she received. That was the fruit that she received that was corruptible. It was a wicked fruit, a wicked doctrine. Let's go to Matthew chapter 7 and verse 16. Matthew 7 and verse 16. Let's look at that real quick, just to substantiate what we're talking about. Matthew chapter 7, verse 16. And it reads, let's start at 15. Beware of false prophets. This is what Satan was, a false prophet. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing. So this man who came as a snake was in snake clothing. But inwardly they are ravening wolves. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit. But a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. And that's what we were reading about, the corruption. Eve was following a fruit that was corruptible by communication. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit. Neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore, by their fruits ye shall know them. So Eve fruit, she gave Adam false doctrines. She gave Adam corruptible food, right? She gave Adam corruptible words that went against the law of the Father. And Adam believed in her words because he loved her. And this caused all men to fail. This is why people talk about, oh, it was an apple. They still don't know it was all about doctrine. Just like today, when you look around, look at our doctrines. Look at the doctrines of Christianity. There are various doctrines, but they all have one purpose, to deceive. You have a Caucasian Jesus Christ, which is not Yahawah, right? That was created during the medieval times with Caesar Borgia and Michelangelo. That's a false doctrine. Jesus Christ being born from a virgin without a man's seed. That's a doctrine. The scripture says different. Let's look at Wisdom of Solomon since we got the Apocrypha open. Let's go to chapter 7. Now this is Solomon, one of the wisest men on the earth, one of the wisest men in the East. He reads, and he's from the lineage. Yahawah is from the lineage of King Solomon, which was of King David. Let's start at Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6 and verse 1. Let's just read the first verse. It reads, "Hear therefore, O ye kings," now Israel were kings, "and understand, learn, ye that be judges of the ends of the earth." Now the Most High said we're going to be judges, that we shall judge angels. So if you judging angels with the wrong doctrine, you're going to fall. Now let's jump over to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 1. "I myself also am a mortal man, like to all, and the offspring of him that was first made of the earth." He's like Adam. And what did they call Yahawah? They called him the second Adam. He came the same way. Hebrews 2 and 14 through 18. He came just like his brethren of the 12 tribes of Israel, not as an angel, but as his brethren. Verse 2. "And in my mother's womb was fashioned to be flesh in the time of 10 months, being compacted in blood of the seed of man, and the pleasure that came with sleep. And when I was born, I drew in the common air and fell upon the earth, which is of like nature, just like Yahawah. And the first voice which I uttered was crying, as all others do. I was nursed in swaddling clothes, just like Yahawah, and that was cares. For there is no king that had any other beginning of birth. For all men have one interest into life, and the light going out." So this should tell you right here that Yahawah came the same way. So we've been following this immaculate deception, okay? The immaculate deception. Yahawah was born just like unto his brethren, suffering the same afflictions that they went through. And then died. He did die, but he rose again the third day. He was resurrected. So he died like a mortal man. And that's going to pursuant to Psalms chapter 82, verse, what is that? 4? Psalms 82, verse 4? We get this verse and get back to the topic. Psalms 82, let's go there real quick. The book of Psalms chapter 82, he had to fulfill this destiny because it was in the earth. Psalms 82 and verse 6, "I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High." All of them, all of us. This is the Most High speaking to us. "But ye shall die like men." Yahawah died like a man. He was crucified, hung from the tree. "And fall like one of the princes." We are the princes of Yasharallah. He was a prince, Yahawah. "Arise, O power, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations." So Yahawah had to go through that small tunnel that 2 Ezra chapter 7 speaks of. He had to straddle that fence to get into the kingdom, just like us. And these elite, they know what we have to go through. They know that they lose at the end. Speaking of these elites, who are the elites? All these elites know who we are. They know that we're the Israelites, and they want their birthright back, right? But Esau also wants to keep the birthright that he gave us. He came after us so he could get his birthright back. And if he can't have it back, he wants to keep us in captivity. He wants to keep us lost, dumb and dumbfounded. He don't want us to find it because he wants his birthright back. So when you look at the elites are the Gettys. They know about who the Israelites are. The Walton family, they know about who the Israelites are. The DuPont families, the Rothschild families, especially the Rothschild families, they all know who we are. And they know that they also delineate from Esau. Their lineage, all those families I mentioned, come from Esau. Rothschilds means red shield, which comes from the red dragon, which was Esau. They've been trying to get their birthright back for years, for hundreds and hundreds of years, should I say. One thing about Esau, I mean, we can't ignore it because everything we do today, Esau's involved in it. You can act like Esau just like everybody else, but he's not. He's in control of everything, whether you want to believe it or not. Let me tell you about Esau. Esau is not stupid. When you look at the scripture in Luke chapter 16, let's go to Luke chapter 16. And I'm talking about the elites. The elites ain't missing a beat. But all these other Edomites that we work with, in some of these stores and all this stuff, those who are lowly like us, they don't have a clue. All right? Those who work an average job, those Edomites don't even know. They don't know nothing. But the elites know. Those families, those ruling families that I mentioned, they know who they are, and they know who we are. Luke 16:8. And the Most High commended the unjust steward because he had done wisely, semicolon. For the children of this world are in their generation wiser than the children of light. See that? The children of this world are wiser than the children of light. Who are the children of light? The children of light are the Israelites. Remember, Yahawah in Matthew chapter 5 says, you are the light of the world. We are the Israelites. The Israelites are the light of the world. We have the Most High's light, which is his law, statutes, commandments, which is written in Psalms 119, verse 142. We are the light. And so these people of today know who we are, these elites. And the scripture says they are wiser than Daniel. So Esau knows about what's coming. Okay? He knows. How many of y'all ever heard of Aaron Russo? Aaron Russo was a producer, and he had produced the movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd. I don't know if any of y'all ever seen that movie, but it's the reverse of positions. But Aaron Russo, he passed away years ago, but when he was living, there was one particular time that he had a friend, and his friend name was Nick Rockefeller. And Nick Rockefeller told him about everything that was going to come to pass. He told him what the elites were trying to do. They had told him about 9/11. Before 9/11 happened, they told him about 9/11. And they also told him about Osama bin Laden, that he'd be hiding in the caves. And then he started telling him about the New World Order and how it was going to come to pass.
Corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. This is Aaron Russo, a filmmaker and former politician. To his left is Nicholas Rockefeller of the infamous Rockefeller banking and business dynasty. After maintaining a close friendship with Nicholas Rockefeller, Aaron eventually ended the relationship, appalled by what he had learned about the Rockefellers and their ambitions.
Aaron, what do you think women's liberation was about? We, the Rockefellers, funded that. We funded women's lib. They do whatever they want to do. What we want doesn't matter anymore. It's their agenda, it's their plans that matter. They have all the money they want. They can make all the money they want. They have a machine that can make all the money. It's not about money. It's about control. It's about their vision of how they want to see the world. You hear George Bush saying democracy means freedom. No. Democracy equals New World Order. But they felt that they wanted to reduce world population, and he felt that it should be reduced by half. He even mentioned to me once they were having a real problem trying to solve the Israel-Palestinian problem. And he talked to me once about they were playing with the idea of bringing Israel to Arizona, and taking all the people from Israel and giving everybody $1 million and setting up Israel in the state of Arizona.
Unbelievable.
To end that problem, because that's a problem that they're not in charge of, in a sense. They're not controlling that problem. They're very arrogant. They can do whatever they want to do. We've given these people the authority to create money out of thin air. And through that device, they control everything. And if you want to win the battle to stop that, you have to deny them the ability to create money. This world, we're heading into a world of danger, possible nuclear wars, because the banking industry is trying to take over the world. 9/11 is the beginning of the war on terror. That war on terror is leading us into Iraq, which is the next lie. So you had the lie of 9/11, how that happened. Nobody knows how Building 7 came down. Okay, we know 9/11 was a fraud. The American people don't know it, but more and more of them are believing it. Okay, so that was the first lie. Besides the inception, I'm not going back to the inception of the Federal Reserve, that original lie. But 9/11 was the first lie in this present state we're in. 9/11 is the kickoff of the war against the American people and the people of the world. 9/11 was a phony. It's a fraud. It didn't happen the way they told us it happened. Now, because of 9/11, we then had the authority to go into Afghanistan and Iraq. Iraq didn't have weapons of mass destruction. Okay? So that was the next lie. Now they're talking about going into Iran. Now, how would you feel if you were Iran and you had this big, powerful country, America, go into your next-door neighbor, take over their oil fields, right? Wouldn't you be worried that what they were going to do to you? Of course you're going to be worried. But the people of America don't think about it from Iran's point of view. They think about it from our point of view. So now we're going to send more troops into Iraq and keep building up because they want Iraq and the Middle East to become part of the New World Order. And keep building up because they want Iraq and the Middle East to become part of the New World Order.
And keep building up because they want Iraq and the Middle East to become part of the New World Order.
And Iraq was using, Saddam wanted to start using euros instead of dollars, right?
He was messing up their whole consumption.
Iran wants to start using euros instead of dollars.
They have.
Okay? So I'm saying what they're trying to do is preserve their power. And one lie leads to the next lie, leads to the next lie.
So they're already planning this stuff. A New World Order, what that means, you say NWO, New World Order means order through chaos. Order through chaos. It's Esau's maximum control when we get to that. And that's what the scriptures talk about in the book of 2nd Ezra when it talks about that destruction. They want to have us totally in control. They want to control everything we do. And you can see that when you read 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 when it talks about he that sits on the throne will call himself God and want to be God or be the Most High. He's going to sit himself on the throne to be the Most High and act as the Most High. We can go there real quick because I'm quoting it, but I'm butchering it. 2 Thessalonians. Let's go to that verse. Let's go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 7. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 7. It reads, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let. That's a riddle in itself. Who's going to let it happen? Until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed. The Most High is going to have to remove this man away through the light of the truth, of us preaching and teaching the truth, which is the light. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Most High shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him, this is why we prophesy against this country and all the other countries, about wars, rumors of wars, storms, tempests. That's prophecy. That's what the scriptures talk about. We're going to prophesy about this man having us in contempt, having us kidnapped in these countries for ransom. That's what we're prophesying about. And we're shedding that light on the leaders, the elites of this world, what they're doing to us and what they're doing to all the other nations. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan. That's what the pastors like to say. Satan did it. Satan. Pastors don't know the Most High at all when they say they think Satan did it. The Most High controls everything. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. So they don't know what the truth is. And for this cause, the Most High shall send them strong delusion, that they shall believe a lie, that they all might be damned which who believe not the truth, but have pleasure in unrighteousness. Where is that verse I'm looking for? He sits in the temple of the Most High, claiming he is the Most High. Did I go too far? I may have passed it. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4. 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 4. It says, who opposes and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, right? So there's many gods on the earth that people pray to, many deities. Go to China, they have a deity. You go to North Korea, they have a deity. You go to Australia, they have a deity. Go to Hawaii, they got deities. Europe, they got deities. This is what it means. Who opposes and exalteth himself above all that is called God. Who does that? The Pope, the Vatican, the Roman Catholic Church. Catholic means all religions, universal, all religions. That's why it says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the Most High, or that is worship, so that he, as the Most High, sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High. Who does that? None other than Esau. Okay? Esau is the only one that does that. No other group of people does that but Esau. And that's what the Most High is speaking of. This is what they're not teaching in the churches. This is what they're not teaching in the schools. None of our people know this. All our people are damned because they don't know the truth. They don't know the light of the truth. And the truth is in the old covenant, which means to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. And in the new covenant, in the ways of Hamashiach Yahawah, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. We have to follow Yahawah with the commandments. Now, they tell you in the churches the laws are done away with. So how are you going to follow Yahawah, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ? How are you going to follow him with no commandments? It's impossible. That's why in Revelation 14 and 12, it says, here's the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments and have the faith of Yahawah. This is what the world don't know. This is what they don't understand because of the doctrines being changed. So the elites, they know this. Esau, like I said, Esau knows all about what's coming. And he's getting prepared, but Jake ain't getting prepared. Jake ain't even aware of what's going on. But the 1/3 is ready. All right, but Esau thinks he got the complexion for protection, but he gonna find out that he wrong. And so let's go to 2 Peter's. 2 Peter's chapter 3. 2 Peter's chapter 3. And let's go to verse 13. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness. So people think heaven is up in the sky. Heaven is coming on the earth. Right now, earth is being worn out like a filthy garment. But the Most High is going to regenerate this earth. And where it says here, wherein dwelleth righteousness. So only righteousness is going to be on the earth. So there is a new heaven coming on the earth. Let's read verse 14. Wherefore, beloved, seeing that you look for such things, be diligent that you may be found of him in peace, without spot. What is without spot? Not keeping his commandments. When you keep his commandments, now you're spot free. When you keep his laws, all right? All other religions think they have laws that are subject to the Most High, but compare their laws to the laws in the Bible, they're totally different. And those laws in the Bible are for the 12 tribes of Israel. The 12 tribes of Israel were the only ones scattered abroad, and they had a name called Israel that came from their lineage, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But when you look at Islam, they want to claim that they came out of Ishmael, but Ishmael had no promise. There was no promise given to him. Only Jacob was the only one that got it. And Jacob is a generation after Ishmael and Isaac. A whole generation after Ishmael and Isaac. So how could Ishmael be the one of the promise? He's not. The scriptures even prove it. All right? So Yahawah is one of the big examples. His lineage goes all the way to Jacob. There's no Ishmael in Yahawah's lineage. No Esau in Yahawah's lineage. Even though it was the brother of his great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, he has no lineage to them. The truth should interest you more than anything else. It's something that's different from the world. This is why Esau is trying to keep everybody's mind locked to what he's doing. Because when he implements that new world order, he's trying to bring a new heaven and a new earth, right? He's trying to go contrary to what the Most High is doing. He's trying to duplicate what the Most High is doing by bringing in a new world order, right? And how's he doing that? He's doing that through his digital currency. He's doing that through wars and rumors of wars, right? You see the United States, they're on their ships. They're going down to Venezuela. They're trying to take over countries. They're trying to take over lands. Like over there in Israel, they're trying to take Palestine. They're trying to take Iran, right? Syria, they're just bombing everybody. They're bombing Yemen. You look at Russia, they're trying to take over lands. Ukraine, Poland, they're trying to take over those lands. This is how the New World Order is going to be implemented. They're trying to make their lands. They're trying to broaden their lands. They're trying to control everything, and it's all in wickedness. Aren't you tired of wickedness? I'm tired of wickedness. I'm tired of seeing wickedness. I'm tired of seeing confusion. This place, especially America, wants us dumb, blind, and stupid. That's how they want us. You don't believe me? Look, Esau knows the recipe for disaster.
We've set out to overthrow functioning constitutional democracies in over 20 countries. We manipulated elections in dozens of countries. We created standing armies and directed them to fight. We went after to organize ethnic minorities to encourage them to revolt. The first thing we did in Nicaragua was to go to the Mosquito Indians, who had never gotten along with the other people in Nicaragua very well, and give them more money than they had seen in the entirety of history, and arms and training and rationales and sanctuaries in Honduras, and sent them into Nicaragua to attack, kill, fight, rape, burn, pillage. And this has been a technique the CIA has used in Nicaragua, in Thailand, in Vietnam, in Laos, in the Congo, in Iran, Iraq with the Kurds, in different parts of the world. We created, trained, and funded death squads like the Treasury Police in El Salvador. And we've assassinated world leaders, including the United States President in 1963, and I'll get to that in more detail in just a moment. You can never be sure how many people are killed in the jungles of Laos or the hills of Nicaragua, but adding them up as best we can, we come up with a figure of 6 million people killed, minimum figure. It has to be more than that. These things are all done in countries of the third world where the governments don't have the power to force the United States to stop destabilizing the country and brutalizing their people.
Let's go to Mark chapter 9 and verse 25. He knows the recipe for disaster. How does he know? Because he had our book. He had our book. And he knows what happens in the end of our book. So he's trying to prevent the saints from waking up. When you look at Mark chapter 9, verse 25, now this is talking about a demon that was in an individual. Mark chapter 9 and verse 25, it reads, when Yahawah saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, thou dumb and deaf spirit, I charge thee, come out of him, and enter no more into him. So what did Yahawah call this spirit? A foul and deaf and dumb blind spirit. A deaf, what did he call him? A dumb and deaf spirit. That's what he called him. He also called him a foul spirit. But most of the spirits dwelling here in this country are foul right now. Right? How are we foul? Look at the education that we're getting. It's making us dumb. Look at the understanding that we received in this country. Pretty dumb. Look at this. We can't hear anything. We don't know what's going on. Fake news is all we've been hearing. So he says, I charge thee, come out of him and enter no more into him. So let's find out how he did that. Mark chapter 9, verse 26. And the Spirit cried and rent him sore and came out of him. And he was one dead, insomuch that many said, he is dead. Remember, the Most High said that we would dwell in the congregation of the dead. Remember what Yahawah said to the man that wanted to bury his father? And Yahawah says, the dead buries the dead, but if you follow me, you have everlasting life. He already knew the man was going to choose to bury his father. Why did he say you have everlasting life if you follow me? Because he was living on the earth, walking on the earth, and he was going to teach him all things. And he passed that up to go bury his father. We all understand the significance of burying your loved one. But he had an actual ultimatum at this point what to do. Choose life or death. But even when it comes to the churches, Yahawah said, let them dwell in the congregation of the dead. Let's see if I can find that real quick. Proverbs 21. Let's go there real quick. Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 16. Proverbs 21, verse 16. The scriptures read, the man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. See that? So you wander out of the understanding of the Most High, you're going to end up in the congregation of the dead. So that makes you what? A dead spirit. You never received the life. You never received the Most High's word. You never had to fear the Most High. You had to fear the Most High, that you would know his word. But a lot of people don't fear him, so they do things contrary to his word. They break the dietary law. They don't keep the ceremonial laws. They do all these other religious stuff, but they don't do nothing that he asked, the creator of the world. These are the things that we are supposed to do. Let's go back to Mark chapter 9, and let's go to verse 26 again. Mark chapter 9, verse 26. And it reads, and the Spirit cried. So think about that. Here you are loving where you living, loving where you working. You love everything about it. If someone takes that from you, what are you going to do? Cry. So this deaf, dumb, foul spirit love being in that state, a comfortable state, because it's so comfortable, it don't want to move. And that's how a lot of our people are. They don't want to get out of the way of what they're into. They love everything that they do. And so this spirit is just like that. It's like a toad, a frog. The Most High calls spirits frogs, right? Bad spirits. So he says, and the Spirit cried and rent him sore and came out of him. And he was as one dead, insomuch that many said, he is dead. See that? But Yahawah took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. And when he was come into the house, his disciples asked him privately, why could we not cast him out? Meaning the demon. Mark chapter 9, verse 29. And he said unto them, this kind, meaning the demon, can come forth by nothing, but by prayer and fasting. See that? So this is what we have to do in Babylon. Prayer and fasting. Learn how to fast. Teach yourself how to fast. There's two different types of fast. Right? When we get ready for the Day of Atonement, what kind of fast is that? We're going to fast all day. That's a clean fast. What's a dirty fast? When you're drinking water, that's a dirty fast. Okay? When you're nibbling, you say, I'm only going to eat vegetables all day. I'm a fast. That's a dirty fast. But we're going to clean fast, meaning no water, no food. When you add medication, that's not really a clean fast. That's a dirty fast. Okay? But it's still a form of fasting, but it's considered a dirty fast. All right? You have to do that to maintain what you have so you don't faint. But many of us will be doing a clean fast. So we have to practice on that now. Practice fasting now. And we should do this concurrently throughout the year fasting, especially when you're in the spirit of the Most High. We're praying for the downfall of Esau's world, pursuant to 2 Ezra chapter 6 and 9. And those of you who know what that scripture means, then you know what I'm talking about. 2 Ezra 6 and 9. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So prayer and fast is very important to get a lot of these demons out, right? The deaf, dumb, and blind spirits. So you don't believe me? Always read the scriptures, and the scriptures will reveal it. But Esau knows this recipe for disaster. He knows if he continues to taint us, we'll be destroyed. Okay? He knows how to pollute you, to be filled with vile spirits, so you would not keep your, basically, he wants you to lose your birthright. You can never lose your birthright, but he wants you to forget about it. When you look at this world, a lot of things are tainted that keeps us from practicing our understanding of the scriptures. What they really should be teaching a lot of our kids today is like healthcare, agriculture, horticulture. So you know about plants and foods and fruits and vegetables. That's what they should be teaching a lot of the kids in school. But a lot of kids, they don't make it to the point where it's fun to do. A lot of the kids don't see it, so they don't try it. They got to make things fun. They got to learn to teach and make schooling fun. That's the proper educations of life, and that's what the scriptures talk about. Those type of things. It talks about horticulture. It talks about health, right? All throughout the scriptures, taking care. Because in Isaiah chapter 1, it says the whole head of Israel sick, from the head to the feet. Why? Because we don't have no proper doctrines in our mind. We don't have the understanding of life. The Most High teaches life, teaches us what to eat, what not to eat. He teaches us his ceremonial laws. What does the ceremonial laws have to do with? Harvest times. Passover deals with the spring harvest. So that's a form of horticulture. You're preparing your corn, your wheat, all those different things, your fruits. And then in the wintertime, we have Feast of Tabernacles. That's dealing with your fall harvest. Okay? So all the ceremonial days are dealing with harvests. So he's teaching us throughout the scriptures the real principles of education. When Esau's not doing that, the rest is all BS in these schools. They don't teach you how to even defend yourselves in schools. That's why you got so many bullies terrorizing people in schools and in workplaces, because they don't teach our children that. They don't know how to fight. They don't teach them tactical takedown moves. That's all they need to know is defensive tactics, how to take someone down when they approach them or rush them. It's like everyone being armed with a gun. If everyone knows how to fight, people are less likely to do stuff to you. So they're not teaching our people how to be in these schools. So like I said, this place wants us to be deaf, dumb, and blind. I'll rephrase it. Deaf, dumb, and stupid. That's basically what they're teaching our people to be. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3. I remember when I was little, my uncles taught us defensive tactics. They would make us take an empty tire, put it on the ground. Me and my cousins would put on gloves. We had to leave one foot in the tire and the other foot out the tire. And you could not lift up your foot out of the tire. If you did, you lost. And then we just slug it out. We didn't have no headgear, nothing on, just gloves. We had to slug it out. First one to fall, lost. And so we just went in. And after getting hit so many times like that, you stop being scared. You want to win. You just keep slugging. But that's a form of defensive tactics. That's preparing you, so you don't back up. But, they call that brutal today. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 19. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High. For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. So the Most High is telling you himself, the wisdom of this world is foolishness. Okay? It's foolishness. This is why I always say, really, if you truly become a wise person in society, you become an angry person. Because when you start to understand different things in society, you can see all the oppression, right? Just like you being in the truth. Now you see the oppression going on around the world, and you see it all has a trace right back to Esau. Just like you see Donald Trump. Everybody's saying the laws Donald Trump is passing every day. We could draw a line that everything that's happening is coming from the White House. Everything. And social media is king for a lot of different things. They showed a brother, Palestinian. He was over there in Palestine. He was digging through the rubble, and he pulled out a missile.
This is bombing USA. This is killed people.
Killed children.
USA on the missile. It didn't say Israel on the missile. It said USA. So who's helping destroy that place? The United States of America. It's leaving a line straight back to the White House. We're seeing all the chaos being done, and it's a form of oppression, and we can understand why it's being done based on what the scriptures tell us about our enemies. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 7. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7. Look at what it says here. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad. I read it again. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. What does that gift mean? You can see us now. Let us give you something for the community. Let us give you some government aid for your school so your children can learn a little better. Let us give you some health care insurance. Let us give you some WIC for the babies, the mothers who are single. Let's give them some food stamps. That's a gift that destroyeth the heart, because you're still in your same circumstance. They just made it just a little bit better for it to get worse later on. So a gift destroyeth the heart. This is what the enemy does. So this is a form of oppression, right? Not righteousness. We have to learn wickedness in order to get back to the kingdom first, in order to appreciate righteousness. That's what the Most High is teaching us. Okay? That's what Elder Yahawah used to teach. We have to learn wickedness in order to appreciate righteousness.
God has cursed me to see what life should be like. If God wanted me to be this person and be happy here, he wouldn't let me feel so oppressed. He wouldn't let me feel so trampled on.
I believe God put us wherever we want to be at. Then it makes sense that God will put us in the ghetto. That means he wants us to work hard to get up out of here. That means he's testing us even more. That makes sense. It makes sense that if you're good in your heart, then you closer to God. But if you're evil, then you're close to the devil. That makes sense. I see that every day.
All right? So when we get in the kingdom, we know what the wickedness did to us. But when we get into the kingdom, we know what the righteousness, how we got rewarded for the righteousness. And we can build a kingdom on righteousness. This is what the Most High is teaching us in the scriptures. Learn righteousness. Learn why you're oppressed. All right? If you're aiming to be the Most High's elite, you shouldn't really care about any of the stuff that everybody else is doing or what everybody else lusts after. Like, for me, I'm not interested really in Esau's cars. That don't really move me. All the different expensive cars. That's never really moved me. All I need when it comes to cars is just a reliable one. You get me to and fro. That's all I need. If it breaks, I can fix it. I'm not interested in a lot of houses. That don't really do much for me. But I'm not really into cars. I'm not interested in all these different women. That's why I'm married, so I didn't have to even worry about all that stuff. But you know what I'm saying? That should be the least of your worry. Or you women should not be really tripping off a lot of men. I mean, if you really put the Most High first, and when I say put the Most High first, you're hoping for the Most High to return soon so this whole place could go down. He promised us. He promised us a new kingdom. He promised us. And you have to remind him too, through prayer and fasting, that you're ready for that new kingdom to come back on the earth. And what he'll do is speed up everything that's going on around the world so we can get there quicker, so that the 144,000 will be sealed, and then destruction will come on this earth so he can bring the new kingdom on the earth. See, that's what we're talking about. When we say stuff like that, it's weird to the rest of the world because it's not being taught. There's nothing that triggers me. I'm pretty much bored of what this place has to offer. Nothing really excites me anymore. When you live to be my age or some of the other brothers, I'm only interested in the Most High. I'm only interested in his will. Everything else bores me. That's my purpose for being alive today, to teach the truth. I know I can speak for myself. This truly is the only reason why I'm alive today, is to do the work of the Most High, right? And to tell our people who the devil is, and stop believing in this man called Esau. That's my whole purpose of being here on the earth today. My job don't do nothing for me. You know, I'm there. I never really wanted the job from the get-go. The Most High was putting me in spots. I never wanted the job. I never even interviewed for these jobs that I got. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Most High put me there. I still act like I really don't want to be there. I'm looking for an exit. Just so I can teach this truth full throttle. That's my whole goal, is to teach this truth. You know? That's what it's all about. I see some brothers are stocking up on goods, preparing for the next shutdown. You know? What happens when the military come in and says everyone got to get out of their house and start taking people to jail? What do you do then? Do you evacuate and run? And if you run, how much stuff can you get out of your house before you run? And can you run? Can you run? Can you walk without having a problem? A lot of people can't even walk one block. You know, so you got to prepare yourself now. You may only be able to do so much when that day comes, because you haven't prepared. You got to prepare your mind. The comfort is the Most High. Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 4 and 17. It reads, this is 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 17. I mean, we're headed for some crucial times coming up, right? The scriptures talk about some crucial times are coming. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 17. For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of the Most High. What does that mean, must begin at the house of the Most High? Talking about Israelites that are scattered abroad, who have names like Negro, who have names like Haitian, who have names like Puerto Rican, who have names like Mexican, who have names like African or Australians. The Most High is going to deal with our house first. Before he starts destroying other nations, he's going to start at our house. And it's going to be bad. And like I said, if there's a famine in the land and you got to run, I mean, don't expect to jump in your 5.0 Mustang and go about 80 miles per hour down the street. That ain't going to happen. For the time has come that judgment must begin at the house of the Most High. And if it first begin at us, see that us, that's the 12 tribes of Israel. What shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of the Most High? Who don't obey the gospel of the Most High? The gospel of the Most High says you only believe in one power, okay? Not two. He only left us with the Torah, the Bible, not any other book. Some may say, oh, this is a book of the Most High. It ain't. The Quran is not the book of the Most High. The Buddhist book is not the book of the Most High. They may think that because they've been brainwashed so long, but when they read the scriptures and they realize that this book was given to the 12 tribes of Israel who came out of East Africa, then they'll realize that this is the way to follow the Most High. All right? That's when they'll realize what's what. So that's what Peter's talking about. The Most High is going to destroy this place, and he's going to start with the house of Israel, going to destroy them. But there was a movie that I was thinking about. I don't know if any of y'all ever seen it. It was called The Day After. Y'all remember that movie, The Day After? It was like I think it was a 1980s movie, maybe 82, 83, 84 movie, if I can remember. I remember when that movie came out, everybody was glued to their TV to see it, like when The Wizard of Oz came out, when the Roots movie Roots came out, everybody was glued to it. Everybody was glued to this movie, The Day After, because if I can remember, what it was a full-scale nuclear exchange of NATO and the Warsaw Pact that was over Germany. And they ended up dragging the U.S. and the Soviet Union into this exchange. And the U.S. got hit with a nuclear explosion. And the people didn't know what to do, you know. And you can see it just degradingly every day killing people, right? What are people going to do when that happens? All right, there's another movie I could think of. It was called The Road. I don't know if any of y'all ever seen that movie, The Road. Most of the people in that movie, it was like the end days of this world. Everything, I think the world had got hit by a nuclear explosion, and people had lost everything. There was no more power. There was no more water running. There was nothing. And most of the people in that movie, they had to walk. They didn't have no cars. They had to walk. They were on their feet, and a lot of them was destitute. And that's the way it's going to be. How many of our people today are able to just walk? A lot of our people are overweight. A lot of our people, like I said, can't even walk a mile. Our people got to prepare for this coming. You know, we got to act like soldiers. Like I said in the beginning, you got to put on that helmet. You got to put on that breastplate. You got to put on that sword, those boots, that shield. You got to prepare. You got to get ready for this. This is what we're getting ready for. This is what nobody else are not getting ready for except for Esau and his elites. They're building bunkers. They got satellites that could go without, when the world shut down, they still gonna have the satellite. That's what Elon Musk is trying to throw up there. Okay, that's why he put that Starlink. Is it Starlink? That's why he got that up there. They're preparing, but we're not preparing. So we got to prepare. There's going to be a breakdown society coming soon. 2 Ezra chapter 16. We got to learn to get out of our comfort zone. A lot of us are in a comfort zone. But 2 Ezra chapter 16, verse 17. 2 Ezra chapter 16, verse 17. And this is a prophet who saw the future. This is Ezra. And this is the words that he said when he saw the future and the Most High destroying this place. It reads, "Woe is me! Woe is me! Who would deliver me in those days?" Think about that. This is what the prophet said from a vision. Who would deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, beginning of famine and great death. Trust me, there is a famine coming. There's a famine of food coming. First, it's going to be a famine of the word, but then there's going to be famine coming of food and water. And then it says, and great death, the beginning of wars. Because, you know, in Matthew chapter 24, it says the rumors of wars, but this says the beginning of wars. And the powers shall stand in fear. Even the great governments are going to be in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? This is what Ezra said. Behold, famine and plague and tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for a minute. See that? Let's read to 22. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Got to keep the Sabbath day. That's a big one, the Sabbath day. People take that lightly. It's one of the top 10 commandments. Keeping the Sabbath. What is that, the 4th commandment of the list? Keeping the Sabbath day holy? Many people don't do it. Verse 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth, Oh, let's go to Burger King. We could get $1 worth of hamburgers. Let me get something off the dollar menu. Behold, victuals, that's talking about merchandise, shall be good cheap upon the earth. You got your different stores. You can buy stuff for 99 cents. That they shall think themselves to be in a good case. A lot of people say, oh, yeah, this is good. Had a good deal going. And even then shall evils grow upon earth. Sword, meaning wars, famine, and great confusion. That big one right there, great confusion. That's going on in the earth today. Look at your news, CNN, Fox News. Fox News, I think they went on strike. They're supposed to cut it off this past week. I don't know if they did or not. I didn't follow up. But the news ain't even giving you real news. Okay? There's a lot of news companies are not giving you real news. You have to go to alternative news sites to get the real news. And you have to almost decipher everything that you see when it comes to news now. Even the titles. Okay? Because they're trying to get clickbait just for you to watch their news because they're in competition. It says, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So if you escape the famine and you eat and you get out and run, well, the sword will get you. It's either or. It's like being chased by a bear but getting eaten by a lion. Can't escape. And that's what the Most High is trying to warn us. He's trying to tell us there's only one way to get out of this. When you go to Job 5:19, he tells you the recipe of getting away and what's going to happen to those who believe. Let's bring it out just for edification. Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 5, just so you know, because we're reading about gloom and doom, what's coming. But let me show you, when you keep the law, statutes, and commandments, how the Most High is going to protect you. Let's go to Job 5:19. He spells it out right here. He says, he shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. Remember the children of Israel, when they were in Egypt, some of the plagues in the beginning they had to deal with, like the flies and the mosquitoes and the frogs. So they had to deal with that stuff in the beginning. But then when the other plagues came, only Egypt got beat up by those plagues. When they lost their firstborn sons, when the cattle died, not Israel's cattle. Their cattle didn't die. But it says, he shall deliver thee in 6 troubles. Yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch you. You see that? In other words, he's saying, I want to see you persevere while you have that stuff going on. So people will know who you are when it happens, that they'll know that you are the children of Israel and none else. Verse 20, in famine he shall redeem thee from death. See that? And in war, because we said the sword, and in war from the power of the sword. So those who are Israel, Yasharallah, the 12 tribes of Israel of Negroid and Indian descent, are going to survive if they believe in the law, statutes, and commandments, because they're going to get away from the famine and from the war and the power of the sword. Verse 21, thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue. People are going to be slandering you, and they're going to get slandered or cut down. Neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. At destruction and famine, thou shalt laugh. We're going to be laughing. That's the safety of the Most High Yahawah. Neither shalt thou be afraid of the beast of the earth. Right? We're going to see wolves coming, and we ain't going to be worried about it. They ain't going to even bother us, but they're going to bother the heathen. For thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field. We're going to be in league with the people of the field. And the beast of the field shall be at peace with you. People are going to wonder why they ain't bothering us. And thou shalt know that thy tabernacle shall be in peace. And thou shalt visit thy habitation and shall not sin. So we know what sin is. Sin is the breaking of the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. All right? So now we understand what we must do. Because we got to learn to get rid of all the stuff that bothers us, right? And flee to the comfort of the Most High. It's important to be in league with the Father. Let's go to 2 Timothy 2 Timothy chapter 1. 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. We were here earlier. For the Most High have not given us the spirit of fear. See that? That goes along with those other scriptures we just brought out. But he gave us the spirit of power and of love and of a sound mind, balanced mind. But we got to believe in the Father. Beware of the New World Order, because the New World Order is coming. Okay? There is digital currency that's trying to be implemented. There is a mark that Revelation 13 talks about. That mark is coming. Okay? We have to be ready for that when it comes. Pastors in the Christian churches always say, like I said, Satan, Satan, Satan did it. Satan did it. All right? They always say putting stuff on Satan. But the Most High brings the evil. Did they forget? Or did they not read that? Or did they not even know that's in the scriptures? The Most High brings the evil, not Satan. The Most High brings it. Let's go to Isaiah 45. Look, there is no coincidence with the Most High. There ain't no coincidence. The Most High is in control of everything. He controls the right-hand side, and he controls the left-hand side. Isaiah 45, verse 7. Isaiah 45 and verse 7. See, people don't read the Old Covenant. Okay? A lot of people just read the New Covenant. But you got to read both, the Old and the New. Isaiah 45 and 7. The Most High said, I form the light. See that? Who's the light? The Most High. It's the light that's within us. And he creates darkness. I make peace and create evil. So who created evil? The Most High do all these things. You see that? So is it Satan bringing evil? He's the instrument of it, but the Most High gives him the nod. Okay? Because the Most High controls the right-hand side and the left-hand side. The Most High controls all of it. Look at 1 Kings chapter 22. Let me show you. Oh, that's not in the scriptures. Yes, it is. It's right here. Let's go to 1 Kings. 1 Kings chapter 22. And people always forget about the story of Job. Satan asked the Most High, could he afflict Job? And the Most High gave him the pass. People forget about that. The Most High is in order. 1 Kings chapter 22 and verse 19. Check out what it says. This is a vision that one of the prophets saw. And he said, hear thou therefore the word of the Most High. In other words, the Most High was speaking through this prophet. It reads, I saw the Most High sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him, on his right hand and on his left. See that? So the Most High sits up in the heavens on the throne, and he has a host of bodies around him, some on the right and some on the left. So the Most High controls both sides of the throne. Satan reports to Yahawah. Satan was created to be crooked and evil on the left-hand side of Yahawah. He was created that way, but he still works for the Most High. Let's go to Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes, and let's go to chapter 7. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 13. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 13. Look what it says. Consider the work of the Most High. Remember, the Most High created evil, and he created the light, and he created good, and he created darkness. Consider the work of the Most High. For who can make that straight which he hath made crooked? So the Most High created Satan to be what? Did he create Satan to be righteous? No, he created Satan to be what? Crooked, slanderous. He even came up against Yahweh Shai. He came up with crooked ways. There's people on the earth who solely follow Satan, and they're crooked in all their ways. And the Most High said, who can make this person straight? There's only one. The demons can't make themselves straight. Yahawah had to be a beacon of light to them. He had to show them how to get out of that. The Most High had mercy on some to come out of that. So we have to understand, sometimes when we see people go off, the Most High, like I said before, some of us have to experience wickedness so we can understand righteousness. That's why you have to pray for all the brothers and sisters. I think in Baruch chapter 3 and 6, he said, pray for the dead Israelites. That's our fellow brothers and sisters. There's loss, you know. Yeah, right here. It says, O Yahawah Almighty, thou art power Yahawah of Yasharallah, hear now the prayers of the dead Israelites. Now, this ain't talking about our forefathers that died. Talk about the dead Israelites. Like, you know, there's that Psalms, he that wandereth out of the truth wanders into the congregation of the dead, talking about these churches. Like Yahawah said to the man in what was that, Matthew chapter 18, he said, I've kept commandments since my youth. And then Yahawah said, sell all you have and give to me. And was that the one? And then he says, but I have to go bury my father. And then Yahawah says, let the dead bury the dead. The man was alive, but he said, let the dead bury the dead. In other words, this man was in the congregation of the dead. He didn't have the life. And so when you see this verse, it says, hear now the prayers of the dead Israelites, because they praying, but it ain't getting to the Father. So who are these dead Israelites? These are our people that are living today. And of their children, which have sinned before. They see that? They're sinning. And not hearken unto the voice. A dead person can't sin anymore. And not hearken unto the voice of their power, for the which cause these plagues cleave unto us. That's the captivity. That's the Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68. So it says, hear the prayer of these dead Israelites. They praying, but they ain't praying the right prayer, who are in wickedness. Whether it be religion, or whether it be just doing some outlandish crime, or whether it be their marriage situation, or whatever it may be. You got to pray for them. This is where we come in, because the Most High is giving them a testimony to be in wickedness. So when they come out, they could talk about it. Like you got some brothers who are alcoholics, crackheads, you know, they come out of it and they become righteous in the eyes of the Most High. Just like Job was considered righteous in the eyes of the Most High because he was doing righteous things. So we have to understand how the Most High works. If we don't understand how he works, then we'll be just like these pastors in the church. Satan did it. Satan did it, you know. And when they go off, they don't know whether it was them going off or they don't know. You know, like I said, the Most High don't make any coincidences. He controls it all. He controls both sides. So repentant Israelites who have refined themselves spiritually are in line with righteousness. They're in line with righteousness. Look at the last verse in Ecclesiastes chapter 7. You could fall out of line with righteousness. Lo, this only have I found, that the Most High have made man upright. What did the Most High make man? Upright. So if you fall down to wickedness, you can make yourself better and upright. Okay? The Most High, but you have to ask for mercy. Okay? If you don't ask for mercy, then the Most High let you stay crooked. You got to ask him for everything. He created all things. It says, lo, this only have I found, that the Most High have made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions. You see that? What are the inventions? All the things created of this earth. It's just not inventions, but it's also things like doctrines, things like education, things like science, okay? All these different things. Look at verse 26, same chapter. And I find more bitter than death the woman. All right, so the Most High is telling you that a lot of women are not living righteously. And I find more bitter, Most High calls them bitter, than death the woman, whose heart is snares and nets, meaning traps, and her hands as bands, meaning claws. Then look at the next verse. Whoso pleaseth the Most High shall escape from her. See that? Whoso pleaseth, so you have to plead to the Most High for help. If you're not pleading for the Most High help, you're trapped. You're never getting out of that situation. You're stuck. You're never getting out. You're going to remain crooked and in the congregation of the dead. All right? Whoso pleaseth the Most High shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. See that? So the Most High showing you the example that we had just spoke about right there with just one little simple thing, which was devilish or a low-centered woman right there. When you look at everything, your heart can easily become contaminated. Easily, when you look at all these incidents, easily misplaced with hostilities, easily misplaced with attachments. Like this is a form of attachment, this man getting stuck with this woman who becomes a sinner. That's an attachment, right? All of which affects our actions, our thoughts. It causes us to fall behind. It traps us just like this. That's why we are all in need of fasting and praying. What is fasting and praying? Fasting and praying is like a purification. It purifies us to fast and pray. The Most High uses that as a strength to purify ourselves. All right? And that's a form of comfort. The Most High gives us comfort. And when we show fear towards him and belief and faith in him, the Most High will show us back love. So we must keep his commandments. And if we do that, we won't have any problems. This is why when we talk about the Most High, we say the Most High loves Jacob, because he gives us so much mercy, so much grace. We got to learn to depend on him for everything. He controls all. Who controls all? Yahawah, Bahasham, which is the name, Yahweh Shai, which is who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Yahweh Shai, that's his ancient Hebrew name. That's the name that his mama called. That's why when we mention Yahawah, we always closely mention Yahweh Shai. Why? Because the Most High put Yahweh Shai in charge over us. We always say that. Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Let's go to Philippians. Philippians, a smaller book. Philippians chapter 2 and verse 10. Philippians 2 and 10. And it reads, that at the name of Yahweh Shai, every knee shall bow, of things in heaven and things in earth and things under the earth, and that every tongue should confess that Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach, is the Hamashiach, to the glory of Yahawah, the Father. Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. So every knee is going to bow and confess in the name of Yahweh Shai. So Yahweh Shai sits at the right side of the Father. Like we had discussed, the Most High sits on the throne and all the hosts of heaven was with him. Yahweh Shai sits on the right side of the Father. Sometimes he sits, sometimes he stands, but most of the times he's sitting. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 8. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. He sits at the right-hand side of the Father. So when you say in your prayers, the Father is right there by him. The angels bring in Yahweh Shai stuff while the Most High is paying attention to other stuff. And then Yahweh Shai reads your prayer and see if it's legible to present to him. If it ain't legible, if you ain't coming with the right spirit, you ain't got to give it to the Father. All right? Meaning your prayer ain't answered. But if you come with the right spirit, then he'll present it to the Father to get authorization. Hebrews chapter 8, verse 1. Hebrews chapter 8, verse 1. It reads, now of the things which we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such an high priest who sat on the right hand of the throne of the majesty in the heavens. So Yahweh Shai is that high priest who sits on the right-hand side of the Father in heaven. See that? So the scripture's telling us Yahawah does sit on the side of the Father, on the right-hand side. Let's go to another verse and show that he's standing. Go to the book of Acts. Like I said, sometimes he stands, sometimes he sits. Acts chapter 7, verse 55. Acts chapter 7. Now this is about Stephen, or some people say Stephan. But Stephen was a mighty man in faith, which the Jews called blasphemy. But that was a lie, you know. Why did they call it blasphemy? Because when he saw Yahawah stand, he said, I see the Father and I see the Son standing on the right hand of the Father. But us Israelites that believe, we believe in Stephen's testimony. We believe in what he said. Through Yahawah, we believe in this vision. So I'm going to read it, Acts 7 and 55. But he, being full of the Holy Spirit, looked up steadfastly into heaven, because he was getting stoned, because he was testifying to his brethren that they were stiff-necked and hard-headed, because they wasn't following the scriptures to a T. And saw the glory of the Most High, and Yahawah standing on the right hand of the Most High. So there he is right there, standing on the right hand of the Most High. Why? Because he was seeing one of his top disciples getting stoned. And he said, behold, I see the heavens open, and the Son of Man standing on the right hand of the Most High. Then they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears and ran upon him with one accord and cast him out of the city and stoned him. See that? So they stoned Stephan. But Stephan saw Yahawah stand up next to the Father when he was being stoned. Again, judgment will begin at the house of Israel. So remember this. And I'm saying this so you so-called Negroes and you so-called indigenous Indians can understand. The Most High is the ultimate. He is the ultimate so-called Negro. The ultimate. I'm going to say it like that. He's the ultimate so-called Negro. He got the same emotions we have. He got the same feelings we have. When you don't think that he's not like us, he's just like us. We got our feelings and our emotions from him. The way that we feel, he got the same type of emotions. Okay? We got everything that we have from the Heavenly Father. And through his begotten Son, Yahawah. We got everything through him. The heathens called Yahawah by a name Alashadya, which means great and terrible power, because he was bringing storms and tempests on them. But that's our spirit. We got the same spirit. If we had the power, we'd be doing that today. Bringing that stuff on people that make us mad. But he got that spirit, the Most High. We got it from him. It's a demon-like spirit is what the heathens called it. Whenever we act up, don't they treat us like we're some large demon? We go off. They send all the cops after us, right? They send all the police to come get one dude. Remember, what was his name? George Floyd. How many cops went up there and was dealing with George Floyd? They had 2 cars worth. One cop killed him, but 2 cars worth came, then 3, then 4. Whenever we get surrounded by cops, there's always a bunch of them, and they take out one dude. So we got like this power that they're all afraid of. All right? But the Most High, he controls everything. He created both sides of the spirit world. So this is who we should fear. But just keep in mind in the future, there's going to be a lot of changes coming now that you see this political White House changing. Every day Esau's changing laws. I'm going to kind of wind down right now. Every day Esau's changing laws, and that goes into Daniel chapter 7, where it says he will think to change times and laws and wear out the saints. That's what he's doing to us. He's wearing us out. There's no logic in the society. Politics has no logic. I'm going to say this. Feminism definitely don't have any logic. Why do I say that? Feminism was created by the so-called white man. It was created by the white man. How do I know that? It started from World War II when the white women had to work inside the industries, and they started wearing pants so their dresses didn't get caught in the machines. And then they felt like they needed equal rights as the men. And then they started pushing that off on all the indigenous women that were around there. And the indigenous women picked up that cross and ran with that cross, right? And it destroyed our families. That started to destroy our families, feminism. And this is when you had the desecration of the black and Latino families. They started to tear up. And that plays into Psalms 83. Let's go to Psalms 83, verse 6 real quick. All this was planned. The men and their wives were together at one time, but they needed a way to destroy us. When you think of Yahawah, how did they get to Yahawah? How did they wiggle their way into the next group of the disciples? They went through Judas Iscariot. From within, they destroyed the group, right? And that's what they're doing with our people. They're destroying the group from within. Look at Psalms 83 and 6. They went to the weaker vessel. They started using a woman. Psalms 83, verse 6. This is when we were a nation and we were together. This is what they did to us. Psalms 83, verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. We were the hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. See that? That the name of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, may be no more in remembrance. This is why we don't know our names. That's why we call ourselves Negroes and indigenous Indians and, Muslim and all this other stuff. Egyptian. We're Israelites. That's our forefathers' name, Israelite. Just like you have a last name today and it's your daddy's name, Israel is our last name. That's our real last name. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against us. The Tabernacles of Edom, the so-called white man, the Ishmaelites, the Arabs of Moab, the Chinese, and the Hagarenes, the Africans, Gabal, the Africans, and Ammon, the Japanese, and Amalek, the Jewish people, the Philistines, more Africans, the inhabitants of Tyre, more Africans, Ashur, the East Indians. So all these people are people that came against us to tear up our families. And now you see the residual effects today. Our families are tore apart. All right? So it's dumbfounding. Religion is another dumbfounding, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious thing that destroyed us. Religion. Religion has no logic to bring on the earth for us. So Satan was instructed by Yahawah to destroy us through a certain people named Esau and all these nations that we just read about in Psalms 83. This is when Satan took effect. He took that for all these different nations, but it was instructions from the Most High because why? We broke the law, statutes, and commandments. That's why it happened. So when you look at Job, who was a righteous man, and you read that book of Job, Job was on the bottom. He was afflicted with all types of hives and illnesses, and everybody in his family came against him. He lost family members. But like I said, Job was on the bottom, just like we are on the bottom today. But then he was on the top, just like we will be soon on the top. All right? So Job is like a mirror image of our nation being in captivity in America today. We're on the bottom. Now we're rising to the top through the spirit of the Most High Yahawah, Bahasham, or Mashiach Yahushai. So Satan, like I said, was instructed by the Most High to afflict Job. Job said, that though he slay me, I will maintain my trust in him. That's what he said. And I'm just paraphrasing. We can go to that verse. But Job was like, if the Most High showed me all the goodness in life, then surely I know that he's a power over good and bad if he brings the evil on me, then I have to accept that too. Job was okay with that. He was able to deal with that. Okay? He was balanced with that. He knew that the Most High could do whatever he wanted to do. And he took it. And then at the end, in chapter 42, the Most High blessed Job. He gave him everything. Okay? Let's bring out this last verse and we'll end it with this. Job chapter 13, verse 15. Yeah, that's it. Job chapter 13, verse 15. It reads, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. But I will maintain mine own ways before him. So even Job knew if he was a power of great goodness, if he could give him all this stuff to make him a rich man on earth, he could also take it away and bring evil on him. And Job knew he didn't do nothing wrong. He knew he was doing right. He never said anything when his friends were saying, what did you do wrong, Job? They were sitting there telling him, man, you had to do something. The whole time, they telling Job, what did you do wrong? Job knew he didn't do nothing wrong. He just took it. He was patient. He just dealt with it. But his friends was like, there's got to be a coincidence. And when you read the book of Job, you see in the end, it was his friends that were in error. And Job had to turn around and do a sacrifice for them so their sins could be forgiven because they doubted the Most High's power. All right? That's why I love that verse. Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. So no matter what happens to you, maintain your integrity in the Father, no matter what. All right? That's the whole key. Because, I mean, ultimately, none of us can take credit for anything. You can't take credit for bringing yourself in the truth. I can't take credit for bringing myself in the truth. The Most High brought us in the truth. He brought us all in the truth. We have to understand that. These are spiritual gifts given to us by grace that the Most High gave us. Let's go to the Gospel of John. Let's bring out this last verse. Gospel of John, chapter 3. I think John has said something about that in the 27th verse. Yeah, right here. Gospel of John, chapter 3, verse 27. This is what John said. John answered and said, a man can receive nothing except it be given him from heaven. So the Most High gives us everything. Everything. You don't control nothing when you're in this truth. The Most High controls you. He gave this to you, the Spirit. He gave you the words to speak. Everything. Our movements, where we are today, who we married while we're in the truth. The Most High put us there. He did it. So you can't get mad at him. Can't get mad at your job because he put you in there after you got the truth. You got to deal with it. He put you there. And this is something we have to learn. That's why I said this is no rocket science. We got to learn to trust on the Most High. He's everything to us. Everything. You know, without him, we are nothing. Nothing. We do all things through him, right? All things. And without him, we are nothing. One more verse. 2 Peter chapter 1. 2 Peter chapter 1. This is the last one for sure. Because we all are shooting for one thing. We're trying to get that crown, right, at the end. We're earning our crown by doing the work. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 10. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 10. Wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. For if you do these things, you shall never fall. All right, so we have to make our election sure by staying in the truth and running the race. All right, so with that, I pray that this was a blessing to you, brothers and sisters. All praises to the Most High, Yahawah, Ba'ashem, HaMashiach, Yahushai, and to his saints, and to his 12 tribes of Israel who are scattered abroad. We pray that the Most High watch over all of us. Are there any questions, statements, or comments?
This is the word of the Lord of hosts. I took you from the pastures and from following the sheep to be prince over my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you have gone and have destroyed all the enemies in your path. I will make you a great name among the great ones of the earth. I will assign a place for my people in Israel. There I will plant them, and they shall dwell in their own land.
Anyway, that topic, it's not rocket science. That's a good topic, and I was just thinking about it as you was going through the scriptures, and I remember we used to hear that a lot. I guess in my generation, or a lot of our generation, because we grew up when they started to really explore rockets and explorations. You know, where you're talking about the fake moon landing, but some people say it's real, and anyway, all of that rocket stuff came out pretty much in our generation, where it was, you know, in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and that term rocket science kind of was birthed then because, of course, everybody who were just normal or just everyday people, I'll put it that way, not necessarily normal, but everyday people, we looked at the scientists and rockets as being a complete new science that has been developed, that the intelligence level of those people must be far above, close to Donald Trump's IQ. You know, they had to be just something great about these people who can develop this thing called. We start looking at that rocket science as being something special. And then that term was birthed that, it's not right because that's difficult. Those are difficult things to understand, how to do rockets. And it's a hard thing for common. And as I was looking at that, I was thinking, well, Israel, we know the hard that we know is, and the rocket science and all, it's not difficult for us when you know about the laws, like you started off by saying. And when we wonder what went wrong, again, it's no rocket science, like you were saying, and keeping it simple. The KISS, keeping it simple, you know what else. But, and so that's all it takes is to do that, is to go back to what we are. And it's funny that the hard that the Bible uses, matter of fact, it doesn't even use the word difficult, I think, in the whole entire scriptures. It may be, I don't know. I haven't ran across that word, don't know the word for difficult, but I don't think it's there. They use the word hard. And whenever it's talking about hard a lot, the majority of the time, it's talking about Israel getting dealt with harshly or hard by oppression and captivity and by being scattered. And so that's the science. In order to stop that, we need to get back to the law, statutes, and commandments. So anyway, right. It's interesting how it all comes full circle, and Israel is what it's all about. Is that the Most High is what it's all about, but he's dealing with Israel in all of this as we see things unfold. And I don't know. I just wonder our forefathers. I mean, even though we was in hard bondage and whatnot, and even today, we got to think that we are the special people. We are the chosen people. Who else can go through that type of hardness and still, while we were in bondage on the plantations, as I understand it, we developed some of the most awesome music during that is still being branched off of today. And, you know, and those hard things. The inventions by having servitude and Esau and our captors and colonizers didn't have a clue on how to make things easier. But by our hardship, we invented tons of stuff that made it easier that they still use today. It's just like, and then now that we are so-called out of hard bondage, oh hell, why did you let the Negroes go? Now they're going to rise in every category. Oh, man, don't even basketball. Okay, all the stuff that only had white faces before, baseball, all of a sudden, Satchel Paige, bam. All of a sudden, everything, Hank Aaron, everybody. Then we just take, it's like and that should be enough for us to see who else can do that. It ain't rocket science. Who else can do that? If we ain't God's chosen people in the worst conditions that any nation has ever had to face for that length of time, that we come out with all these accomplishments, it shouldn't be hard to see who we are.